All right, what's up, everybody? Oh God, it's doing the echo thing again. I totally forgot about that. Let's see if I can let's see if I can figure this out. My audio settings, advanced, viewer count, hide in mixer. Aha, here we go. Monitor output, monitor off. There we go. I fixed it. I fixed it. All right. So, how's everybody doing today? Are we all doing well? I do realize that, so all those little foam things you guys saw that were on the back wall here, they started falling down because of all the temperature changes. So I pulled them down, except now my white balance is kind of off. So I got to find like a curtain or something to put on in front of that. But yeah, Clara is back there, and so is Remo. Remo's napping in his crate. He's passed out. They were playing a little bit, so they're getting along quite well. Clara is a big fan of having another pup to play with, so mission accomplished. That was one of the reasons for us getting another dog. Was Clara likes playing with other dogs, and it helps them both get some exercise. So, but dear God, this puppy's been getting me up at 3 o'clock in the morning. He's forcing me to be a morning person. So we're back with another Ask Tim. Look at that. The cube automation works. It's about a 30-second delay from the time I go live till Home Assistant sees that I'm live. But the cube command does work to change the pattern. You can see there, it fired it. It changed the pattern. So it just cycles through. So you guys can play with that while we chat. And it'll go through and cycle through. Sometimes Nightbot doesn't listen. There it goes. It just changed it. But yeah, it's fun. It's only available when we're streaming. So let's see here. Let's jump right into the questions today. Yeah, I apologize for starting a couple minutes late. We were having a support meeting. We are moving our help desk system over to another platform because I'm tired of paying Zendesk a lot of money for a system that just doesn't work correctly. So we were just going over the new system. We'd have it set up and staged, ready to go. But anyways, let's see. The first question looks like Jonathan Bayer has it. I think it's just making a statement, but I'll read it anyways. He said, I installed the EasyMat 2. I found the adhesion on it, PLA is much higher to the point where I've had to reduce both bed temp and increase layer 1 speed and raise the head about 0.1 millimeter. Sounds about right. The EasyMats are no joke when it comes to bed adhesion. They are legitimately a high adhesion surface. That's what they're designed for. They're for when you just want stuff to hold on. So you got to be a little more mindful of not running your nozzle too close when you're using the EasyMat surfaces because they're very, very grippy. So yeah, but yeah, they're great surfaces if you just want stuff to stick. So let's see here. You guys need to post questions in chat. Otherwise, we don't have much content for the stream. So put your questions in. Could be 3D printing, could be home automation. Anything in those categories goes. So make sure to post them up in there. And it does not have to be about our products. It could be about anything FDM related. I'm not a resin printer guru yet, so don't ask me any questions about resin printing. Just not something I'm very good at. I don't have too much experience in those yet. We do have some. I have yet to play with them. Let's see here. Dominic says, I've used the Easy ABL. It seems to have been working fine a couple months lately. The skirt seems to be way too thin on one of the front corners of my Ender 5. The print seems fine though. Thoughts? I would run your M48 test and see where you're at. But I'd be more concerned about mechanicals on there. If it's been running fine and all of a sudden it just starts acting strange, it could be that something is out of alignment. Maybe a wheel is too loose. Maybe a belt is loose. I would start by looking at the mechanicals of the machine and just start there. It could be something simple. If it's like where it's too thin on one whole side and higher on the other whole side, that usually indicates an issue with the frame not being correctly built or squared up, that kind of stuff. So you should definitely look at the machine itself. An M48 test on any sensor, whether it's our probe or it's a BL Touch or whatever, if you run the M48 test and you get a result that's under 0.01 millimeters, that means the probe is working correctly, and you can rule out the probe being the problem. On our sensors, if you have a high M48 test, or it's all over the place, you do have that calibration adjustment on the side, and you should just go through the calibration steps again. On the BL Touch, I do know they have some adjustment, but not as much as the Easy ABL. So, but basically, what you want to do is run the M48 test, rule the sensor out first. If it is coming back with a result under 0.01 millimeters, then it's not the sensor. It's going to be something else on the machine. So it's a good way to narrow down what your problem is. So always start with the M48 test. Let's see here. Random Design is saying, my Anycubic limit switches are a pain. Not sure if it's possible to upgrade or use something different or keep using limit switches. I like the machine. I'd like to end the limit switch issue. What machine are you using? What machine is it? Because Anycubic uses a lot of different switches on different machines over the years. Aaron actually brought one in here. I think he either left it in here or took it back out. Our Sidewinder X1, the X little sensor that they use, it just stopped working. So, yeah. I mean, the reality is you guys can use basically any switch you want on a printer. What is important is the logic of it. So some printers use what's called a normally open logic for the switch, meaning if it's not pressed, the two contacts are open. Some use a normally closed. So if it's not pressed, the two contacts are closed. So what you'd want to do is determine if your switch you have on your printer currently is a normally closed or normally open one, and then get a new switch that is a normally closed or normally open switch. And it doesn't have to be the same exact switch. As long as you have a way to mount it to the printer where that access can hit that limit switch, it literally does not matter what brand of switch you put on there. The important part to match the logic of the old switch to the new one is so that way you don't have to do any firmware changes. Now, you can replace a normally open switch with a normally closed, or normally closed with a normally open, but then you have to change the logic of that switch in the firmware. So my recommendation is to keep with the same type of logic that the factory one is. So that way you don't have brain fart when you're updating the firmware and wondering why it's not registering that it's homed, and it just rams into it because it's the inverse of what the stock one was. So the main thing is just, I mean, you guys have 3D printers. You could design a bracket to mount any switch to any printer by just whipping up a simple CAD model and printing it, bolting the switch to that, put it where the stock switch was, and then run the wires to it. Whether you're soldering them onto there or you make a little thing to plug the JST in if your printer is a JST. But the important thing is just match the logic. It'll make your life easier in the long run. But you don't have to buy an Anycubic switch for an Anycubic printer or a Creality switch for a Creality printer. You can if you want to keep things stock, but in a pinch you can use any switch. Just make sure to match the logic of the factory switch. So let's see here. People keep asking, I've seen this come up, the Creality Surmoon D1. It's a higher end printer from Creality. It's like their attempt at like more of a professional kind of machine. It looks fancy. I'm willing to bet it's kind of all the same internals. I'm just looking down here, opening up a browser here so I can pull it up and show you guys. I have not gotten one. I have not had anybody contact me to get one to us, but it's not that big of a print size, but you can see they're kind of going for a more enclosed look to it. This is a render, so who knows how it's actually going to look. Probably pretty close, but yeah, you can see it's just more of a industrial look to it, kind of Ultimaker-esque, if you will. But, it's a little bit higher end here. Nothing too crazy, to be completely honest. It's just a different design. You got to remember all your printers all share the same common mechanics, the same common parts. What varies is how they look and different design choices. But you can see where it's still using V-slot rollers. It's still got, it's got 2 Z motors. It looks pretty decent, to be completely honest. But it's definitely more targeted towards a ready to run out of the box kind of market. I'm willing to bet that this probably ships fully assembled. which would explain why it's more expensive. Let's see here. Oh no, DIY. Okay, is this fully assembled or not? It just says DIY fun. Last time Creality used the words DIY fun in the marketing, that meant you had to do a lot of stuff to it. Or that upgrades they're advertising didn't come with it. That was on the CR10 V2. They called the Titan extruder upgrade DIY fun, which in their words meant it did not come with it and you have to put it on yourself. So, well, we'll see. A variable voltage power supply. It's just a power supply. They're talking about the input, the power input. nothing fancy. They got trinamic drivers. This is all just marketing wink. It's nothing really that special. It's looks like kind of a integrated heatsink design. It's just more of the same stuff. Let's see, smart sensor. Whatever lacks centralized real-time protection, automatic storage. Yeah, this is all just like buzzwords. Is this just a switch? It looks just like a switch. Maybe it's an encoder. I'm not sure. I haven't messed with these. This is quite the abomination. But this is direct drive, so that's neat. Big leveling nut. I like me some big nuts on my bed. Yeah, it's just a fancy looking enclosed printer. It's nothing to write home about. Wow, they still sell the ANET A8, and it's $210. Who is buying the ANET A8 in this day and age? Steve Smith is asking, what would you suggest for a direct drive upgrade for a CR10S Pro, Hemera or Bondtech? I think at that point you're down to personal preference. I use a Bondtech. I got a Bondtech on the Daedalus here, and it's been working great. I have messed with the Hemera. I don't have any Hemeras here, but either one of those is going to be a good upgrade. PrintedSolid.com would be a good place to check out. They carry that kind of stuff. They carry E3D and Bondtech. Dark Claw is asking, have I used bimetal heat breaks? I have not. I do have one, but I have not put it in a machine. I guess the idea behind a bimetal heat break is where they'll have like copper on the lower and the upper, and then the tube going between those two pieces is like a titanium or something that doesn't transfer heat very well. And the idea is that because the copper is up top, whatever heat gets through that tube will get dissipated quickly into the heatsink. And then at the bottom, it'll keep the heat around the shaft to properly melt it. So I get the idea. I don't think it's going to be that revolutionary of a thing. I'll have to plot. I'll have to play with them and see. But I can't see it being that big of a revolutionary change. You know, we've been carrying titanium heat breaks, and those kind of accomplish the same thing. You know, you got the titanium and it transfers heat worse than steel, which you don't want to transfer heat very well. You want it to keep the heat in the heat block and not transfer it up into the heatsink. So, Julio said, mentioned last stream about a Nanoleaf product. Am I designing a 3D printed version? I'm trying to find ones. There's a million different Nanoleaf projects on Thingiverse already. I started printing one and I did not like how the parts fit together, so I'm kind of back to the drawing board with that, because my plan was to originally put like some Nanoleafs like around the flag here in the back, just kind of have some designs. But I think what I'm going to do is put up like a curtain or something and then have the Nanoleafs in front of that. Luckily the door's steel, so I was thinking about just literally getting some neodymium magnets and just sticking the Nanoleafs magnetically to the garage door, because that's what that is behind me. Because this is actually one of the bays in our attached garage that we put a wall up and insulated, and this serves as my office. So let's see here. Mac is asking about that. Check my plug supplier about a dual smart plug with energy monitor. I did not. They just got back. I also just got back. So China just got back from their spring. Is it the spring festival? I don't know. They were on holiday for a while, and they're all back. So I haven't had a chance to reach out to them. So no, I did not get a chance to do that. I don't know how much the dual how many of you guys would be interested in a dual plug where it's like one, like the outlets we have, but two independently controlled and monitored outlets. Like, would that be even something people are interested in? I I'm just curious. Ed1011 says the Ender 3 V2 does not park the nozzle outside the print bed. Is there a way to fix it? So you cannot really park your nozzle outside the print bed on that printer. When it homes, your nozzle's on the print bed at the 0, 0 position. So the best you can do is home it to one of the corners, like, you know, your front left, front right, rear. You can't make it move outside of the print bed. It just, the firmware is not going to allow that. Like, for example, if you're using the TS-Ready Unified firmware, I believe we have that park the nozzle if you do like if a filament run out happens, or if you send an M600, you will get it parked at, I think it's 10X, 10Y, and then we bump the Z up. I'm pulling up the firmware right now. It's one of those settings that I put in there. It's a standardized setting, and then I just don't think about it again. Let me see, nozzle park. Let me check here. Let me find this. Give me a second. I'm trying to find it here. I believe it's located under, it might be under the, let's see here. Is it the back end? It's the back end. Yeah, so the nozzle park point, if you're using our firmware, is 10, 10, 10. So 10X, 10Y, 10Z. If you don't want it at 10, 10, 10, you can go into the configuration _backend.h file. And as of making this, as of streaming right now, it's line 478. This line number could change as we make updates to the firmware. But if you search for nozzle park point in the firmware, so like, let's say, you know, you just open this up, hit Control F, paste nozzle park point, enter, and it'll take you down to the nozzle park feature section. This is what tells it where to park. So it's going to be 10, 10, 10. So 10X, 10Y, 10Z. Let's say I wanted it to be, you know, 0, and then like the Ender 3, it's a 235 bed. So let's say I wanted to park it on the rear right. It would be 235, 235. If I want it on the front left, that would be 0, 0. If I want it to be on the front right, that'd be 235 and 0. If I wanted it on the back left, that would be 0 and 235. So this first number here is your X coordinate, and the second one is your Y coordinate, and the third one is your Z. You do want to move your nozzle up a little bit when you go ahead and do that. So these are the actual coordinates where X and Y is going to go. This is not going to send it to 10 millimeter Z height. This is going to add 10 millimeter to the current Z height. So if you're already at, let's say you're already at, you know, 35 millimeters, and you initiate a pause or a filament change that engages the nozzle park feature. That's what the filament change uses. It calls the nozzle park feature. It's going to add 10 to the Z height. Park it at this location on X and Y, and then wait for you to put more filament in. If you don't want it to move up on Z at all, you can put it at 0, but it will automatically move back down this amount on Z once you go ahead and complete the filament change. So yeah, all the source code's there. So if there's a setting you don't like, you can go ahead and change it for your personal liking. If you want, there's plenty of flexibility with Marlin. You just got to know where those things are. So hopefully I can point out where locations are and explain those changes so you can do them. Dean is asking about a bimetal heat break. Is advantageous for printing PLA or PETG? I don't know. I haven't used them. I don't see why it would. I don't think they're going to be like game changers. I can definitely see the application if they do actually prevent the transfer of heat more effectively than like a titanium heat break. I can see that for higher temp materials. You know, we're talking like 300 plus C, which most people don't print that high. I don't even print that high. Yeah. So let's see here. Sean Youth is saying, printing with an ABS and Enclosure 240CN 100 bed. Oh boy. I've been slacking today. Let's see here. He's still getting slight layer separations. Bed adhesion is fine. How can I alleviate the layer separation? Find out what temperature your printer is inside the enclosure. You need to be a minimum of 40°C, I found. A minimum. The higher, the better. So our enclosures in our print farm, those maintain a temperature of about 45 to 50°C. So if you don't have those high of temps, I just realized that my live stuff is not showing on here. Why is my live stuff not showing on here? That's weird. My live stream sources are not showing. My viewer count and my... That's odd. I guess OBS is screwing up. But anyways, so yeah, you want to make sure your ambient temperatures around like 40 minimum. Higher is better, up to a certain point. Like obviously you can go too high. But like if you have your printer in a colder room or like a garage or something, you might not be able to maintain a proper ambient temperature where you're not going to get layer separation. One thing you do to try to combat that is upping the bed temp, go up to like 110. You can also try running a higher temperature on the nozzle and even slowing your print down a little bit just to give it a little more time to adhere. But I would go pick up like a cheap, like $8 like little thermometer. You can get them at hardware stores or even grocery stores and stuff. Just get a little cheap digital thermometer and throw it in your enclosure and see what temperature you're at. And that'll give you an idea of where it's at. So put it not by the bed, but just in the enclosure in the general area where that ambient temperature should be higher, and see where you're sitting at. You might need to add supplementary heat to it. You just might need to do that. There's a lot of little, I've seen a lot of people use those little personal, they call them personal heaters. They're about this big. They're they're actually based on a technology called PTC, which is it's a positive temperature coefficient style heater. And they're actually very safe because they can't exceed a certain temperature just by design. So if they tip over and stuff, they're actually very safe. But there's little ones, they're only like 100 watts of heat output, but for like an enclosure, they'd be really good. And you could tie that to like a Wi-Fi outlet to have it kick on or off during a print. So like we were showing when we were setting up like the easy plug stuff, you can actually have it turn on multiple outlets and turn off multiple outlets when you start and stop a print too. So, but yeah, I'm trying to find some stuff here. Sorry, I'm still getting caught up from being out for a couple. I took 2 days off. I took Friday and Monday off, and it's just been set me back on a lot of things. Here, you can see I've got Ender 6s down here. I am troubleshooting some stuff on the CR10 V2 right now. But yeah, I would check your ambient temperature. If it's too low, I would probably look at one of those like little PTC heaters. And you can get little self-controlled, what's the word? I hate Amazon, but I guess they'd be the place to get something like this from. Let me see here. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. So I can just show you guys. Main monitor. Yeah, so like this is going to be overkill. They have ones that are super tiny that are only like a couple 100 watts. I've seen people use those, like these right here. These are what I'm talking about. These little tiny guys. What is this, like 200 watts? Yeah. Like these little guys here, this is just on and off, and these use a PTC type element. It's like a kind of ceramic type thing, but they're very safe, and they will only go up to a certain thing. The cool thing about these is like once the ambient temperature gets higher, they actually put out less heat, so they kind of self-regulate. You can see here automatic overheat protection. But you can get something like this and throw it in there just as supplementary heat, and then just run it on a little Wi-Fi outlet. These are like little, these are small, like you can see in the photos. I don't know. Yeah, here, item dimensions, 3 by 4 by 6. This may be all you need to do it. And you can just put this on a Wi-Fi outlet. You can even get a standalone one, like, I know I've seen these. I'll post a link. Hang on, let me grab that affiliate link because we do have that. I use this to buy fun stuff for the channel. Any referrals from this. So let me get that link here. So there we go. You can check those out, but you can also then get something like this. Like these are super simple. I'd probably go with this one here. There's a couple different ones, but what these are, like this is just a plug-in thing. So you could put this on a Wi-Fi plug, and you see this does heating and cooling, but you can set a set point. So basically, it'll turn that little heater on and off automatically. So there's a bunch of different ways to do this. This one says Wi-Fi. This looks like a sketchy app you have to add. I don't know if this could be like Flash with Tasmota or not. Let's see. This is what I usually do. Let's see. Let's search CL reviews. Let's see. Nope, no mentions of Tasmota, so probably can't be Flash with Tasmota. But what you could do is you can get something like this. You would plug this plug into a Wi-Fi outlet. You plug the heater into here. You set your set point in here, okay, for the heating, and then it'll just cycle that on and off depending on the temperature of the enclosure. So you could automate this and have it just be standalone. That looks like it's a Wi-Fi one. I probably wouldn't mess with the Wi-Fi one. I'd just get a standalone one. But you get the idea. You could also just have it, you could have one Wi-Fi outlet and just have this turn on when you turn the printer on. So there's a bunch of different ways to you know, solve that problem. There's some cheaper ones here, but I doubt these are going to have like an outlet. Like that other one I showed is like all plug-in. So like this one, you'd have to like strip wires. Whereas something like this, you're just plugging it in. There's nothing crazy. This is a cooling one. Is there a simple one that's a single output? I mean, you could just not use the heating one. Here we go. This is just heating only. So it's a little cheaper. So basically you set the temperature and that's it. It'll just turn it on and off to keep it at temperature. So you can plug that little cheap heater into there and do something like that. That's what I would do. I'd probably roll my own version of this, like with an ESP device, but that's me. But if you're looking for something simple, that's no soldering, no cutting wires, this plugged into a Wi-Fi outlet, have Octoprint kick this on when you start a print, you know, you're off to the races. So, and that's what, like $50, and you got a heated enclosure. I would stick to if your guys are going to put a heating element inside your printer enclosure, the ones that use those ceramic type heaters, and you could see them, like when you look at the product photos, you can see the kind of design of it. Those are very safe because they only can get so hot. By design, as they get hotter, eventually they hit a certain point where they just cap out on their heat output. So they're actually very safe. But yeah. Let's see. So there we go. We talked about what? Heating for like 20 minutes. Let's see here. Andrew Humphrey says, I installed LDO motors on my CR6 SE on X and Y, but I'm getting micro shifts on layers and sometimes bigger shifts. Yes, because they have less torque. Go back to the stock motors. The only time you really get any kind of benefit with a 0.9 degree motor is if it's a printer that's designed for it. And mainly it's Core XY machines that can benefit from it. When you go to 0.9 degree step motors, 9 times out of 10, they have less torque than your stock ones. So your options are, if you want to keep the 0.9s, to bump the voltage reference up on the board, which that board on the CR6, those boards are already sketchy with their design. They have a tendency to catch on fire sometimes. I don't know if they fixed that or not, but that's why I don't use my CR6, because I'm legitimately worried about it catching on fire on a print. But you can up the voltage reference to give it more current, but then the motor's going to run hotter. But in general, 0.9 degree step motors will have less torque than a 1.8 degree step motor, which is what comes with the printer. I would put money on it that if I put, this would be a cool video. Maybe I'll order a set of 0.9 degree step motors, put it on Ender 3, do a test print with everything the same except for the motors, and show you guys both prints side by side, and you try to tell me which one came off it, I guarantee you that people are not going to be able to figure out which one is which. You know, if I like put them up and then mix them around and put them back on screen and mix them around, put them back on screen, I'm willing to bet people cannot tell the difference, because when I played with 0.9 degree step motors a couple years ago, could not see a difference on it. It's one of those things people do and they think it makes a difference. And theoretically and technically speaking, yes, it's increasing your resolution, but it's not something you're actually going to see, especially on a machine like that. Let's see here. To be honest, man, I would put the stock motors back in and call it a day. You're not going to get, it's going to cause more problems than it fixes. Like, you're getting layer shifts, which I would expect. There goes my lights. Oh, I guess my Cubon macro doesn't work. I have to go into Home Assistant and turn the stuff back on. There we go. My motion sensor didn't detect me. Surprised, he's doing pretty well, knock on wood. Both of them are out. Anyways, JD can't see. I'm a CR10S. I have EasyBoard and Easy ABL. When I start a new filament, when I start a new roll of filament, I run a test print to adjust the baby steps. Once the tests look good, I run a print. However, the print's first layer is off as if I didn't adjust the baby steps at all. I did store the setting, so I can't understand why the Z offset is off from the test print to the other print. Well, it could be an issue with the actual machine where you're only as accurate as the actual machine is. So if you have different variances in when it home versus last time, or even your bed flexing, you're going to have it. The reason the baby stepping feature is there is so you can adjust on the fly. You do it once and then you let the print go. That's just how it is. You're going to have that with any ABL sensor, where sometimes on certain machines you hit print and it's good every single time. Other machines, they need to be adjusted. It's just how it is. You're never going to get like a click and print type setup. That's just not how this stuff works. That's why the feature is there. Use it. Let's see. Any news on the Ender 5 Dual Z kit? That's what's in the yellow boxes right here. They're the first run of them. I have to test them. So that's what's in this yellow box here. I have not had a chance to install them on a machine yet. They came in right before we left. So I do have 5 sets, so maybe I'll do like we did with the Easy Plugs. I'll do like either a giveaway or just let people buy a couple early at a discount to get feedback on them. But I do need to keep 2 here, 1 to do the test fit, make sure they work. If they do, then I'll do the installation guide and we'll order a bunch of them. So we'll see. But yeah, let's see here. Ed is asking, is a flex plate an easy fix for a warped bed or other alternatives? I have seen this question come up a lot. In theory, it should help smooth it out. Is it going to completely fix it? No. But because the plates are uniform in thickness, it's probably going to make it less noticeable, but you can only compensate for so much. And the magnet is going to pull the plate down to the bed itself. You'd be better off, unless you want to spend hundreds of dollars on getting something milled like a Mic 6 plate. You're gonna want to just use an auto bed leveling system and call it a day. Because the reality is, these Chinese printers, they have cheap beds. They like to warp and flex as they go through heating and cooling cycles. It's just how it is. Like, to give an example, like this is a $3,000 printer sitting behind me that little Mittens Bernie is sitting on top of. That has a milled Mic 6 plate. It's so flat, but that bed itself is over $200 just for the bed. No heater, just the piece of aluminum. So unless you want to spend hundreds of dollars getting a plate milled out, you're just going to have to run an ABL system and compensate for it like that. But yeah, a flex plate system like our Easy Flex will help make it less noticeable, because obviously if you got like more warping, it's only going to pull it down so much, but it's probably going to come through. Some of it is going to come through, just because of the nature of things. It's a flex plate. It's a flexible piece of metal. Let's see here. Gary says, I'm under 3v2 running the T3 firmware. I have to increase my Z offset on every print. The previous setting is retained on the LCD, but I have to increase it about 0.2 millimeter every single time. It's probably because of that LCD. That LCD has the Z offset setting, but I found that it doesn't actually take sometimes. I also don't know if you're running an ABL probe. If you're not running an ABL probe, then you don't have the ability to store a Z offset if you don't have a probe. That's just how it is. If you do have an ABL probe, I've just not had a good experience with those LCDs. They don't actually store things. If you want to get rid of that LCD, there's an article in our support center. It'll cost you less than $20 to swap the screen out, and you'll get full control over the board and the firmware again. You don't have to change the motherboard. You just change the LCD screen. And I have seen people like Max CJ is talking about. There's a firmware that a guy on Reddit is working on for the Ender 3v2. Where they've been able to hack the LCD a little bit. I'm not going to be using that firmware because we like to stick with Marlin. That guy should be, and you guys should ask him if you are using it, like Max CJ, tell him to do a pull request against the Marlin code base so that way it can get merged in. The reason I don't want to merge his code into ours is because if he stops updating it, eventually our branch of Marlin is just going to have to be stuck on whatever his latest one is because too many changes have been made since the code. But like once he goes and puts in a pull request and it merge his code into Marlin, then it'll go into the main project code and then it can get merged into ours. I don't like using random people's one-off ones. We pull directly from the Marlin repository itself just so we can stay in sync with that. If we start branching off on someone else's branch that's just for one printer, it's not going to work for all of them, and I'm not going to be maintaining multiple branches for every single different printer. So, but yeah. If you guys want to use that, you can. I haven't used it. I know there's been some progress. I see people talking about it, but the problem is that I'm not going to take some random guy's code and that's not in the Marlin branch. We stick with the Marlin branch for our code source. It just makes managing the code a lot easier. And the main thing is, so let's say, just hypothetically, let's say the guy has his code built on, Marlin 206, and we're on 2072. Well, there's a lot of code changes from 206 to 2072, meaning his code, even if I merge it into 2072, it's probably not going to work because it's code it depends on has been changed between those versions. So he needs to put it into the main Marlin project and not keep it on his own little one if he wants wider adoption of it. So, but yeah, if you guys want to use that, go ahead and use it. But until it's actually in the official Marlin code, I'm not going to be putting it into ours because it's just going to complicate things too much. Let's see here. Looking for questions. K Jellos, you're gonna be selling Ma Energy. I emailed them. They haven't got back to me. Maybe they did. Maybe I missed their email. I have some other stuff. Nope, that's not it. I'll have to check. I emailed the guy they said that handles their wholesale. I'd like to get it in. It'd be a good thing to carry in our shop. Let's see here. What other questions? Matt is asking, any pointers for desoldering headers from PCBs? I'm assuming are you talking about through hole or are you talking about surface mount? Because if you're talking about through hole, pick yourself up one of these if you do it often. They're magical. This is the FR301 from Hakko, right here. This is great for desoldering. So, if you're talking about through hole, FR301. If you're talking about surface mount, what I found works best is like that. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a low melting point solder alloy that's out there. So you use that with a bunch of flux. You basically flux it. You feed in that lower melting point alloy, and then it mixes in with the solder that's already there. You run your iron back and forth, and then eventually you can just pull it off because that low melting point solder stays molten for a while. So you get it in there, work it in, and pull it off. They're stirring from the puppy cage. I think he's going back to bed. Remo? Remo, what are you doing? There he is. I'll grab him before we end the stream. Good boy. Oh no, I've woken the beast. I shouldn't have done that. But yeah, let's see here. Where else are we on? Just going through. Oh, there we go. Chad jumped. I was waiting for that. Justin DeBell is asking, what solder tools do I use for rework? Yeah, I've got a A10 ATTEN ST. It's an ST-862D. That's a 1,000-watt hot air station. I got that from Rossman Repair Group. Can I help you? I don't know if you guys can hear him, but he was whining. He probably needs to go out in a sec. We might have to take a puppy break. Okay, give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna put some music on. I'm gonna go take this little furry ass out. I'll be right back. I do have extra time today, so I'll be right back. Need to take a puppy break here so he doesn't mess in his crate. Oh, wait. I'm not gonna risk it. I'll be right back. All right, we are back. We both went, him and his big sister. Here he is. Here's the little ball of piss and vinegar and teeth. Yes, all the teeth. There he is. He's cute as hell. You guys, here. Go ahead. they're actually really good together. So if they get too rowdy, I'll put him back in his crate. So anyways, that went way quicker than I thought. Let's see here. So yeah, desoldering tools. That's what we're talking about. So the A10 ATTEN ST-862D. I got that from Rossmann Repair Group. For my iron, which is this right here, I use a Hakko FX951. That's one of those direct heat type tips. Love it over the standard ones. The Hakko FX888D is what I used to use. It's a good iron for the price. This one's about 3 times the cost. I think it's worth it. I also like that the tips are easily swappable. So these actually have the thermistor and the heater in here. And swapping the tip out on this is just as easy as squeezing here and pulling it out. So then you take this out, take the cartridge out, push this in till it clicks, and then you push it back in here. And that's it. You can change between different tips just as easy as that. You can also just pull on the tip here, and that works as well. But you can swap the tips just that easily. It's awesome. Are you guys behaving yourselves? Here, let me see if I can put the cam overlay, cam office, copy, paste. There we go. You guys can spy on the dogs. Group into folder. Overhead. Let me unlock that. I think I could also, hang on, transform, edit transform. Let's see if I can I zoom that? I don't think I can zoom that. Maybe I can, I'm not sure. Overhead. Oh, it's gonna cut off the thing. Hang on. Transform, edit transform. Can I zoom? Wait. I would have to hang on. Bear with me one moment. This will be worth it. I want to take 200 pixels off the right. More than that, 300. And then probably more than that. Let's see. And then we can make it bigger. How's that? There we go. You guys can watch the puppies there. There we go, bud. And you can see me as well. So let's get back into it. I like I said, I got some extra time today. And now I can keep an eye on him. Let's see here. Max CJ. Oh, sorry. Bjornar says, do you have any recommendation regarding reprinting ASA on Ender 3 V2? It would be the same recommendations as for ABS, which would be get an enclosure and 100C bed temp, start at around 240C temperature on the nozzle, and make sure that you have high temp tubing in there, because 240C is right where that stock PTFE tubing is going to start degrading. If you want a high temp tubing that is awesome and priced very well, we have our tough tube. So I will link that. I like plugging our own stuff from time to time because we carry a lot of stuff. And if you guys can't find something on our site, go ahead and use our live chat or send us a message, and our guys can help you find what you're looking for. We are trying to work on making the site easier to navigate as well, but we carry over 150 products at this point. So let's see here. Julio Vegas says, what's your opinion on Clipper? Not worth the work. Marlin is really good. It's a firmware for people who don't like to actually use their printer as a tool. It's for people who like to use the printer as the hobby. So, let's see here. I don't think it's worth the time. Michael Kessel, need to make a BRB puppy break screen. I think that'd be good. Victor Riviera says, do you have support for the MKS board? And if you ever play with one you bought the other day? I did not. The only MKS board I have recent, like with their newer ones that I have experience with, is the MKS S Gen L V2, which we do have those on order. We will be selling those, and we do have firmware out for them. We won't be doing tech support on them, but we do have easy to use firmware to help simplify the setup. If you do have questions on setting up your printer board, make sure you check out our communities. Like we have the Discord server, we have our Facebook group, and we also have a MeWe group. Those are all great resources for if you got questions on trying to get your printer fixed or trying to do upgrades and firmware configuration, that kind of stuff. So, let's see here. Let's see. Should set up an IP cam on the phone just to bring outside, stream outside with the dogs. Oh, your dog died in November and would love to watch them running around. Oh, man. I'm sorry, man. Losing pets always sucks. People are like, oh, it gets easier. It doesn't ever get easier. I've had pets my whole life. I would not have no pets. Like, it would have to take some sort of catastrophic event to not have pets. I love having animals. Like, just look at these two idiots. Like, look at them. I'm surprised he's not like going crazy. He must be pretty tired. Claire's like, come on, play. Come on, play. He's like, no. S Silver's asking, what board can you put in the Sunloom S8? As far as I know, there's no drop-in boards. So you would basically be doing a DIY project and making whatever you can fit in there. So yeah. That's going to be a very much DIY project. RK Safert, would your titanium heat break work in the Mega Zero V1? That's a good question. We have a couple titanium heat breaks. We have like a Creality style one. I don't have the Mega Zero in my office. Let me take a look at that hot end. Does anybody have a picture of that hot end? Because I'm willing to bet we have some sort of heat break that would fit in there. I think that's a V6 style hot end, if I'm correct. That's usually what Anycubic uses. I could be wrong, though. I'm trying to find a picture of it. This actually looks like a Creality one, now that I'm looking at it. Mega Zero. It almost looks like a Creality style hot end. I can't remember. I worked on those machines and then they got sent out to the print farm. Let's see here. Yeah, if you want to send a picture of it, I could also go check later and see. It didn't even occur to me to go look at that to see what options there are. But I'm willing to bet one of the heat breaks we carry would fit that. I'm trying to find pictures of it, and it looks like it's a Creality style upper heatsink. So like if I pull up, this is 3D Prima here. This is the hot end they're showing for the Mega Zero, which looks like a Creality style one. And there was another photo. You can kind of see it right here. There's a set screw here, so I would assume that the Creality style ones would fit, but again, I can't guarantee that because I haven't taken it apart that far. But you can see here, like there is a set screw here for the heat break there. And this looks like it's a PTFE pass-through. The only thing would be the diameter of this. We do have a couple different titanium heat breaks in the shop. We have this one here, which is like for the Creality style ones. The diameter of this is the same as the Creality one. I don't have it listed on here, but if I go to hot end parts and we look at the Creality one, I believe I have caliper photos on this one. So Yeah, so the diameter of the part that goes in the heatsink is like 6.967 millimeters. That's what this is as well, because this fits in there. So I would say if the diameter of your stock heat break in there, if you pull it out, is like 6.9 to 7, this would probably work in there too. Just going off of the information here, because it looks like a Creality style heat break. Now, if it's threaded, this is one we carry for like the V6 style hot ends. So you see we've got the M7 threads here, and then we got the M6 that go into the block, and these are titanium as well. So, but I'll have to take a closer look at it and see. Yeah, there you go, Claire. Tire his ass out. Tire his ass out. She's like, what? I'm just playing. Let's see here. If you guys, I see a couple of people asking about the S8. I would probably do like an MKS S Gen L in there. That's going to be a good universal replacement. Just, you know, you're going to have to put some work into getting it mounted. But one of the guys on our Discord server, he swapped the LCD out to the standard 128/64 one that we carry, and it does fit in the stock LCD mounting location. But yeah, it's going to be a very much manual process. There's not going to be like a drop-in one that's available. Are you playing nice? Yeah. It's actually nice being able to watch the oh. He's like, I'm gonna bite her ankles. I'm gonna bite her ankles. You can see him following her. Oh. Remo, are you being a little shit? I think you're being a little shit, aren't you? Let's see here. So whiny. He's got such a hard life, guys. I am gonna wrap this up in a second. Do not eat my microphone. Look at that. You guys want that puppy face? I think the video is filtering out most of the whining. Okay, I'll put you down. Go play with your sister. Go play with your sister. Hey, leave the Ender 6 alone. Leave it. Little brat. Anyways, let's see here. I'm going to go through the last couple of questions, and we are going to wrap it up. Because I don't want to have him cooped up anymore. So, do one more plug for the giveaway. Let's see here. They're just running right into that printer. Where are we at? Marcel, what's up, man? Haven't seen you in a while. What would you recommend for replacement hot end for the KP3? I believe the V6 ones fit in there. That's probably what I would do. Let me take a peek, because I think that's got a V6 style on it. You guys having fun? Actually, I forgot. That has like a Creality style. It's like a Creality style heatsink on it. So I'd probably look at something that would fit a Creality on there. So let's see here. Let me go up. Okay, we're back to where we were. Man, this dog is slobbery from Clara. Do I use heat towers to test things? I never do. I've not printed a single temp tower. You what? You want to get down? Pick me up. I want to go down. Let's see. William Mansell, any recommendation on keeping the bed on the hot plate? Stop using glass. Get yourself a nice flex system. We carry the Easy Flex, which is our own brand of flex plate system. You put a magnet sheet on the bed, and then you stick a metal plate onto that, and get out of my garbage, dog. Oh my God. Hey, no. Leave it. He's trying to take a wrapper out of the garbage. You little shit. Go play with Clara. Yeah, just do that. And if you guys get our textured plates, they're actually exactly the same surface as Wham Bams, except we charge you half the price because we don't have a Wham Bam logo on it. So, highly recommend checking out the flex plates. They're awesome. So, let's see here. Sunloop board. People are playing with the cube. You guys enjoy being able to change the cube pattern? Chris is like says, nice room. This is a garage. I just finished it. Do you guys like the overhead cam for the dogs? That's actually my IP camera. It's above me. Yeah, so let's see. Marcel says my KB3 gets an air now. It says a nozzle at 290C. Ooh, you probably have a short, and if you disconnect the thermistor and it's still reading 290C, you're gonna have to replace the board. That means the IO pin's fried on it. So, yeah, definitely something you need to check. Disconnect the thermistor if it's still reading 290C. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to replace that motherboard because the IO pin on the processor is gonna be fried. So, and the cause of that could be that you have a wire that's touching and you got the 24 volts going into the thermistor lines, which then cooks the IO pin. It's pretty common. It's not super common, but it's common enough where it's come up multiple times. And it can happen on any control board, 8-bit ones, 32-bit ones, TH3D ones, Big Tree Tech ones, Creality ones, ANET ones. If you send high voltage into an IO pin for the thermistor, it's going to fry that IO pin, and usually it'll take the CPU out too. But if it's a really quick short, it'll just fry the pin, and the pin's just going to read invalid. So, which sounds like what it is. I'm going to see if there's any quick. Hey, stop chewing on the table. At least he stops when I yell at him. Come here. We got to say goodbye to everybody. We got to wrap the stream up. Oh yeah, just eat. He's in piranha mode right now. Ow, puppy teeth. So let's see if there's any quick things I can reply to. I know, we're almost done. And then we'll play. Ow! You little shit. So anyways, that looks like we got through all the questions. So I appreciate everybody that stopped by. I hope you guys enjoy the piranha that I have in my arms here. Can't wait to see how big he gets. So anyways, I will talk to everybody later. I hope you guys learned something. And again, we have these streams every Monday and Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time. And now I have a puppy to deal with, so you guys just have to bear with me. Oh, that was my beard. Have to deal with him on the streams. So I'm sorry. You have to deal with the puppy. Stop biting my finger. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys learned something. And as always, happy printing. Say bye, Remo. Remo, say bye. Bye. Bye, guys. I'm gonna eat Dad's hand.